It looks like this was deleted. Of course it was. Try creating a new
We're
stream.
live. It says we're live. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
We
morning,
have
everybody.
good morning. Thanks for popping in. We're so glad you guys are here.
Yes.
We are super, super excited today for another guest. Our girl, Shatiera.
Hey y'all.
For
Hi.
all you fellow gladiators jumping
Come on.
in, we bringing in the gladiators hard. Anytime we can bring on a gladiator, we're gonna bring on our gladiators and rep that hard.
And you've been
So
representing with that. Just
welcome,
have to
welcome.
say thank you.
That's what we said. We said if we're gonna get this started, we're gonna start off with all our gladiators and give everybody a quick platform.
Yes, Dean Diaz. I have to shout her out. She was one of the
Yes.
main ones that came to say she wanted to join us today. I met Dean Diaz. She was a moderator and a host for a state of New Jersey, state of a emergency kind of meeting for for young girls and leading
Okay,
young
perfect.
women Jersey, and it was amazing. And she was the moderator, and your presence, your aura, just she's an educator. She works in the school. She works with young girls. She was facilitating a conversation about young girls with the organization Dr. Tamika Quick. And she is I haven't physically or really got to know her, but just from that conference of us as educators, consultants, business owners, and us trying to come together so that we can continue to uplift the young girls coming after us. She was just amazing. And to see her on here to join, we thank you, Dean Diaz. I appreciate it. Yes.
Thank you. We have all the love. As you can see today, we got all the good vibes today. Like I said, we have Miss Shatiera here today. She is the CEO and founder of School Counselor on Wheels. And we are
Yes.
here today to have a great, great, great conversation about the narratives of girls in the
Come on.
educational and community settings. So that is our
Mhm.
topic for today. But before we get started, we would love for you to just introduce yourself, tell us about you and your business and why you do what you do.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you first. Good morning, good afternoon, and those who will catch this later. Thank you just for being here. Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure. Both of you ladies are trendsetters, are just amazing in the spaces that you are. And then to be able to have someone like me have a seat at your table, to be able to talk about the work that we do, is just amazing. And I thank you. I am Shatira Porte'e, go by Shatira Maisha from New Jersey. I am CEO and founder of School Counselors on Wheels. I've worked in mental health for 2 decades prior to transitioning into the educational space. When I started, I was doing interning, different populations and clientele. And then I went into a dual role, which was mental health and a clinical therapist and a school counselor. And then I transitioned into school as a high school, college, and career counselor. And then I started to move up. I believe that when people see your gifts and you're doing amazing things, you start moving up and getting more to your plate. So I was a high school
Mhm.
coordinator. I was a director of student services and curriculum slash administrator, supervisor in that sense, cluster leader. And then after COVID, I decided to transition out to open up my business in 2021, was called School Counselors on Wheels. It's 5 years we celebrated this week, so we're excited about
Ooh,
that.
happy five
Thank you.
years.
Thank you. And when we started School Counselors on Wheels, School Counselors has always been a future global mission that we had. We wanted to be international. We wanted to meet children and students and educators where they were. We wanted to come to them, hence School Counselors on Wheels. We wanted to use our mental health, wellness space, and our school counseling education space, bridge those two together and be able to come to you because where the school students spend most of their times is in school. 5 days a week, mostly at least 7 hours a day. So we wanted to be able to come to you and support you. And this was so important around that time because we just got out of COVID. and students were home and they didn't have that space or the opportunity. So when we first started out, we were doing girls workshops on Saturdays. I was doing Zoom girls writing workshops, self-confidence, self-love, expressive writing. And then from there we grew. We started mentoring new counselors in their roles. We started doing themed classrooms for social emotional learning, mental health wellness. And then we started to expand with college and career readiness. So currently today we help school leaders implement what we call our framework is student readiness systems. And what that looks like is not helping school leaders just promote their students, but prepare them, but from a social, emotional, and learning space. So we go in to make sure that we are supporting students through mental health, wellness, social, emotional learning, leadership development, but also helping them transition. So be able to create a plan for when they graduate and they leave school. We sometimes focus on the destination, but we don't focus on how to be prepared and how we're going to show up and to continue to thrive once we're not in those spaces anymore. So that's currently, what we do.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. So let's jump right into it. Let's get into it. As we start off, we'd really love to hear from you. What are some common narratives that you hear about girls in schools today, and how have those narratives changed over the years?
So I would say I'm going to talk from two spaces if I can. So typically what's been happening over the last couple of years is just the drama space. Like the drama, that's usually the drama, the social media space, there's social media dramas, a lot going on, friendships, those kind of things. Then when I'm talking to the students and I'm working with especially the young girls and I'm going in, so what school counselors do is we go into organizations, school districts, and we provide girls empowerment groups. And that can range from as little as 6 weeks to over 15 weeks. So it can be also a year or semester of the school program. So the narrative that what we don't realize that the girls are receiving and has been placed in their spirit as if they're the bad kids, if they're in trouble. So one of the things that really got to me is when I was going in and we were looking as using this as a supplemental type of program, immediately the girls felt like they were in trouble and we're the bad kids. And why do we need this group? And what do we do? So they were looked at as if they were the black sheep or not enough. So I think the narratives that I've seen was, or even some of the young girls have shared, is that something is wrong with me. And what I mean by that is that I'm in trouble, I'm too sensitive, just these labels that I think that's not a strength-based approach or a lens. So I think for me, I'm seeing the gap of where we need some work to do is how we can continuously support, encourage, and empower, especially our young girls and their voices, because I think when we do speak up and when we do advocate and when we do amplify and we're strong and have confidence, sometimes it's looked as a negative thing. So I feel like as much as you can be doing very well silently, I think when you are confident and you start to show up in the space that you deserve to, I think I have seen it's a negative. And I think that's the part that I try, especially in School Counselors on Wheels, to change that narrative and to create a safe space to say it is okay for you to be confident and show up in that space. And you're right, Terry. Like they get it from so many spaces. So yeah.
So I want to ask a question. You said one of my favorite things when I think about young people, particularly in learning, these are education spaces. You said strengths based. Now the social worker in me heard you loud and clear, right?
Yes.
So, and I think that's often overlooked from our young people is their strengths. So
Yes.
talk to us a little bit more about that. What are some of the strengths in our young girls today that you want folks to know about and ways that we should be amplifying? Because Gen Alpha babies, they different.
Yes. I
And
love
people,
that question. Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish. And people.
no. I'm just saying. I think people are not always looking at the strengths. I think they're looking at some of the things that give us pause. But these young folks, they're savvy. They're smart. So talk to me about what you're
Yes.
seeing.
So yes, thank you. So School Counselors on Wheels, our framework is based from a strength-based approach, and just like you said, is really going to in a space, and before we as we're building relationships and before we start to do any work, we come from an empowerment approach, we come from a strength-based approach. So we get to know them in the building of relationships to see what their strengths are and how we can be able to. So one of the things is that we collaborate with all of our students. We're the facilitators, but we partnership. So that's the one word we go in our first session, girls. I'm here to collaborate and partner with you on this journey for your wellness. I'm here to collaborate and partner with you to empower you to get to your next level. And for us to work together, I need you to be an active participant in this. But I also need to know, what are you good at, right? And being able to, and we do that in so many different ways, being able to get them. But if we're able to help them find and identify what they're good at, that changes the game as we continue to work with them. So when we talk about strength-based, it's kind of like we use activities such as 3 words to describe yourself, but we always go in when we ask them to go around and do your 30-second pitch or to tell us about yourself. What would you like to say? Because sometimes people can say things about us, whether we agree or not, but what would you say? Not because think about it, even when we go to interviews and other spaces, what would people say about you? If you could ask all your friends, if you can ask all this, so I changed the narrative, what would you say about you? What would you say that highlights you? What would you say is the best, one of your top strengths, and that you're really get, that you wish people would know about you, but they may get that? And we do a mirror exercise too to help them, because sometimes people say, I don't know what I would say. And they don't think, and if they're coming from an environment that doesn't amplify or encourage them, right, to be able to talk about what's great about them, they need help to do that. So one of the things that we do is also our wins. Every week I do a win and Wednesday. Every week we do, what are you celebrating today? Every session, even if it's not on Wednesday, what are we celebrating today? What would you like to celebrate yourself today? What would you like to honor about yourself? What are you proud of? And I think those are some of the examples to really do a strength base and have that conversation. And even if there's an incident that occurred that we're not proud of, or a lesson that we had to go through, I always turn it around and say, okay, what would, like the things that you identify as your strength, what would she do with that? What would you use that? What is your superpower? So that's kind of some of the ways that we talk about making sure that we see that, and always making sure before and end of our sessions, or when we work with our girls, is always looking for their strength in that moment and in that situation every single time, because you can feel defeated. And sometimes we like to stay there, and we want you to continue to say, okay, but we made it, right? And we're going to get through it. And we're going to go to tomorrow. So, what does that look like for you? But thank you. That was a great question, because a lot of people, I think, Sherann, that for me, I feel like that's still new language. And when I mean new language, I meant like new language in people identifying it, using it, or even implementing it. I think that we, like you said, the social worker, the counselor in us, the mental health person in us, we can be doing this and not even, you can be doing something, not even identify it with terms. But I think about it, what if we all started to look at things from a strength-based approach? Every time you start a conversation and you look for the strength in it, and the positive in it, and the power piece of it, it will change the outcome of that situation 99% of the time.
Because it's there. You just have to have that mindset and be able to, and see these young people.
Right.
So now, how does social media play into this? Because I know back in our day, I think we dealt with a lot, in our formative years when we think of middle school, but like cell phones didn't exist, right? Social media didn't exist. This whole, like, I'm posting something and how many people clicked on it. Oh, I had, as a volleyball coach, I've coached anywhere from 12s to high school, it's like, oh, well, so-and-so didn't click on my picture, this clicked on my picture, so-and-so didn't comment. And, it's like a whole social media perception that I also think is a little harder now. So how do you include social media, maybe in the interventions or the groups that you have, or what advice do you have for parents or teachers? Because like social media isn't going anywhere. Yes, maybe more restrictions hopefully will be added, but just it's not going anywhere. And I think that social media culture especially for women, of like how women are supposed to look, and
right.
You know, the more acceptable body and the more acceptable hair and the more acceptable just anything that's constantly thrown at you on social media. How do you help with that?
So one of the things that I think, I have to say this, and I would love to see what you all in the comments and everybody says about it. So first, one of the things that is brought to us as they want us to intervene is they want us to help with this social media problem. These girls are on social media. The social media is the problem. And I think instead of looking at how to build the mindset of the girls, they want us to fix the social media problem. Regardless what I do, that's a bigger problem, right? So a lot of the times when we're called to come in, social media is at least between the top 3, right? Usually the top 2 of an issue or something that they feel like is a pain point that they want to make sure we address with the girls, right? I also, when talking with the girls, as I know that's part of their daily access that they have access to, I don't start there because it's such a gigantic thing in their lives that I have to start with who are they, the identity and what they think about themselves, right? One of the things that has come up recently with some of the data that we've been pulling at the girls is, you're right, you said it, the image, right? The self-image, body image. And there's a lot of girls suffering with eating disorders, nutrition, self-image, filters. So maybe we didn't think about it. We think about, like, back in the day it was like the makeup, and I still think we do makeup, eyelashes, hair, but the filters has been this
Snapchat,
kind of yes,
Snapchat,
like,
back in the day,
right,
I gloss over everything,
right. And even with the phone, I don't know if you paid attention to our young people, and I see us as adults too. We're so aggressive on making sure we get the right photo. And if you asking me to take your picture and I don't take it right, you got an attitude with me. Listen, I'm not a photographer. I'm just doing a
I
nice
need you to get down on one knee, and I need you to get the angle, and you know what I'm saying,
baby.
Yeah.
So for me,
to get on a rock,
right? So
get my good angle, okay.
We do a lot of mindset work in some of the groups that can go on for several weeks because I really have to see, what do you think about yourself? How do you view yourself? What are you comparing yourself to? And then there's some students and some girls who are also trying to not only identify with looks and self-image, but just identity in themselves, their being, you know. So we tell the girls that we understand that. I hear this term a lot from our elders. Social media is not a real place, but it is real for them because a lot of them, they may be introverted in person, but on social media, they are like a star. They're a business owner. They're an influencer. Some of their most attention that they're getting is there, positive or negative, right? There's people that are even predator. They go and look for our young girls on these spaces. So if little Shatira is not confident, don't feel love, not empowered, and I can go to a space where I can be whoever I want to be and create this another version of myself and get some attention or whatever that is, it is very hard to break that with the young girls. That is constant work. So for me, it's this deconstructive that we have to do with mind and mindset and confidence that just takes a lot of masking, unmasking. So when we're not in front of this, who are we? What does that look like? But it's one of the hardest things. It's a journey that all the girls are going through that I feel like as we and then AI now you can create this digital video person version of you. So I think that social media, if we don't have these types of programs that we're doing and going in and having these real conversations and this real kind of work and intensive support counseling groups and programs, and the way AI is moving to create this other person, the gap is going to continue to be grow and consumer.
And I like that point too, because thinking about COVID, like even when I was on the alumni executive board at the college I went to, we will go back and we're like, oh my God, it's springtime, Spring Fest time. Shout out to Hiram College. You know, are y'all stooping it? Are y'all outside? Like we used to, we used to kick it. Sometimes, weren't supposed to have barbecues outside.
Right.
Barbecue was outside, but it's like the kids weren't doing that. And I was like, shocked, like why not? But then you also think of there was a whole 3-4 years of kids when you think of high school too that were inside, like that weren't, that all it was social media communication and all of that. So that's
right.
That's a great point.
And you know what they say, like those are my friends. They found community. We found each other. All three of us found each other in community.
Yeah.
And when it feels good, it's hard to kind of break somebody away from that. So think about not only going on, like our young people, the phone is attached, right? But think about if they identify this as their community. How dare you going to try to take me from my people? And I have to show up as this person. And I truly believe it's really hard unless something happens really bad, or like when we get older, it's hard. It's going to take a while. You know what I mean? You have to be in a safe space and have access to resources or things that allows you to see the difference between that. But if you don't have that, it's very hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
You talked about removing the face mask and identity. And that is some work that I do with counselor and concierge with adults.
Yes. Oh.
Yes. Listen. So I love that you're doing young girls and students, because I think a lot of the adults also need to hear that very same message that you're talking about. We're in this space, we're working with these young people, and we don't know who we are. So we're projecting, and it's the space is unsafe for our young people. So when we think about the student support teams and the leadership teams that are closest to our young people, that see them in their most vulnerable ways, most vulnerable ways, but we don't know who we are. I love that. Thank you for looking that up. That's great.
Yes. And I think one of the things that I think we also do that I would share that has been really powerful is we do different exercises, but we do also, we ask them, who do they see themselves showing up to be? And what does it take, or what do they need to do to get there? Right. And then we ask them, it's really, we talk about legacy. We really, one of our programs is we helping them build their legacy, and what does that look like and how they want to show up. So some of the things is, okay, pick who's your favorite artist and what favorite song. And then I'm like, okay, spit those lyrics, sing that song. Right. And, it's very controversial right now, that spin that song. Right. You know what I mean? But when you listen to it, I'm like, okay, now you like this person, you like their song, whatever. What is it about? And are you doing this? Is this what your legacy looks like? Or this is how we showing up? Like, and then they realize like, oh, so that's the thing. I think really one of the things, I have a book, it's called I Forgive Myself for Forgetting Myself. And one of the things I talk about is doing an inventory checklist. And I do that with the students as well. So what that looks like is looking at people, places, and things. And if your cup is not reciprocity being filled up, being full, and vice versa, is this going to help you get to your legacy? Is this going to, you want to be, a doctor, a nurse? A lot of young girls, lady wants to be nurses in the medical field. Okay, so how does this attribute, right, to this? What does this look like? So I think just constantly always asking, like, who do you want to be? How you showing up? Does your lifestyle, your choices, and who you follow and the things that you're doing, does that match? And then they get a wake up call like, oh, I ain't think about it like that.
Yeah. So we did have a question from Miss Mari in the chat, which I think is a great question, because this is of the behaviorist.
Okay.
I say this all the time, but she asked, how do you include parents, teachers, and school leadership, so AKA the adults, on the journey? Because oftentimes the problem is yours as an individual, or, ours as a counselor or as a behavior specialist, and we have to fix it. It's almost like, well, that's the you thing. You go fix it and then come back and tell us how to do it. But a lot of times too, what I will say is, like, if we want behavior to change, we have to change our behavior first.
Yes.
We can't expect this kiddo. I know this kiddo's struggling. I can't just be like, I need you to fix it.
Right.
I have to change my behavior, help change the environment to help
Right.
that kiddo succeed.
Right.
So how do you include adults on that journey so that the work doesn't just happen when you clock in or when you're in the group, but also when you leave?
I think always awareness and bringing the team and whoever we're partnering with in along with the journey. There are partnerships as well. So one of the things I saw was that the territorial part, like this is my student, no. And I think that was very dangerous when we, take ownership or try to like say that I'm only working with this and you can't know. So one of the things that I always would come in and says, there's certain things of confidentiality that I have to stick to. However, what I started doing is letting, even when I come in, like I tell the schools, district counselors, this is our forum. Can we make sure, can you get a copy? The parents, everybody involved should know that we're working on these things. Then I always ask because I'm not there all the time. So what systems do we have in place if things start to come up? So that's part of my strategic planning meeting and debriefing meeting. There's another type of meeting. So I'm saying that this is just not a school counselors on wheels thing. We're a partnership and we're a community, and just letting them know, because sometimes it's like, okay, come in and fix this. No, come in there and let's support this so that when things come up. And then I also do a debriefing session every meeting after I'm done. Like that's something that I also plan in the beginning, that who is the identified staff or support that I'm going to be in contact with. And it's not an email. So before I go in, before I leave, what does that look like? And we talk. Another thing that we do is we keep track of all the trends and the topics and the conversations that we are talking about with our girls and the things that come up. So let me give you an example. If we're going in and we're talking about self-worth and self-love, there's things that come up. So this past semester, we had students that was dealing with housing issues, grade, all the things. So not only were we, after every session, letting the main counselor, the leadership team, all these things know, we also create a impact report that shows this is what's coming up in your district by grade level, by girls, by ethnicity, by this, all of these things. And this is what's happening and then we also provide resource in saying, by this came up a lot. I think there needs to be selected topics. There needs to be professional development with staff. So we create this plan or these suggestions and recommendations of what this looks like. So not only are we helping support you, we also think that because you have staff and students and your family should know about this is what this should look like. So as you are planning for your professional development for the year or for the next meeting, do you have somebody that's coming in to talk about this? Let's hire, either it's not school counselors on wheels as a consultant, let's look at this. What does this look like staff-wise? And then how do we get for our parent community organizations, how are these? Because we expect them also to send them home and get help, but we're not giving them the resources. And some of them may not be able. Let me just say this, kids is different these days. It's not the same when we was coming up. I love us and I love them, but it's different. And everybody does not have a mental health background. Everybody doesn't have a social worker crisis background. Even if you do, I'm a mom, baby. And some of the things I know I have to go get some additional resources for my own family. So it's just about, but I think when we don't speak up and we don't talk about it and we don't share, like you said, how are we supposed to grow? How are we supposed to come together? One of the things I think about is, what would it look like if leadership knew, principals, assistant principals, counselors knew? Not saying that the teachers need to know everything, but listen, this is what's been coming up. As a school, we're noticing some slow self-esteem. We're noticing especially around testing time. We also notice around October through January, there's a high rate of like self-depression and anxiety for a million reasons, right? During that time. Then that spikes, right, Sherann? That spikes. And then we send them home on break. So we're sending them home on break during the time of the year that is high stress, high anxiety, high depression. Then they come back to us after going home on that, with maybe whatever it looks like. And then we got to come back and prepare for testing and then all these things. So what does it look like if we start having real conversations as a community right? What does a wellness plan look like for our school as a community, for our students, families, teachers, admin, all to be in this and saying, when this comes up, this is what we're doing, and just implementing that and having more conversations about it. And I think we just don't want to talk about it because think about it, as adults, we're not talking about it.
Listen, no, we're counting down. So it's almost like, it's almost like the reframe, right? Like, so, oh, we're thinking about it as, oh my God, I get to go home for 2 weeks and not thinking about this. It's the wrong mindset. Like, oh, let me prepare these young people for these 2 weeks.
Yes.
So back, it's less of a lift to reset your community.
There you go. Oh, I love that. Type that in the comments, baby. That's gold. Y'all didn't pick that up. Reset the community. Bars.
It's such a big deal. I call it the December crazies. My mentor was like, listen, I was like, what is it? My first year. And I was like, what is happening? I was the only school counselor because that's what happens in school communities. There was a social worker, me, and then a guidance counselor. And so it was like, what is happening? Why are these kids losing it?
Right?
We call it the December crazies. And I was like, what? He was like, oh no. And then he like laid it out for me. So this is a school leader that knows his stuff, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And so he put me on game in my first year. He let me experience it, but then put me on game. And I was like, he was like, and just wait till they get back. Because now they've been home for 2 weeks.
Right.
Now you got to jump back in. And that's when we started talking about leading up to the 2 weeks. What are we doing?
Right.
Holiday shows and that. It's actually resetting the culture. So the norms were there and we got back and then we jumped back in with the reminders around what were the agreements. What we're supposed to look like as we impact what may or may not have happened. 2 weeks. That is so
Can I ask this? What would it look like if we reset the community every week when we came in on Monday? Right? What would it look like in our lesson plans if we had embedded something that talked about this? Or when we call every week, or we send we get a community newsletter every week in the districts that I'm in, right? What would it look like if some of those things just gave things this weekend? Let's just talk about this, check in. We don't do things like that. It's always reactive after an incident occurs. But what would it look like? What would it look like every week? Resetting the community, but also parents, let's reset the household. Teachers, let's reset the classroom. Leaders, let's reset the staff. What if we really took that and reset our community? One of the things that we do every single session, we call it a temperature check. So it's like our courageous conversation circle. So even before we jump into everything, part of what our young girls especially say, you see me, you ask me how I'm doing. So even just that, but I also don't give them the option to say one word. Okay, but why are you feeling like that? So what would that look like if we did that constantly all the time on top of, like you said, the December crazy and the breaks and stuff? But what would that look like? And then what I talked about, what I did last summer is we had a girls program, because we talk about the summer slide, where when students are not in school during the mainstream of the year, academically, they can fall below like reading and math. What about social emotionally? So I talked about that last summer. What about the social emotional wellness mental health slide, when you don't have the community where you can go to that school counselor's office, that you can go sit in that classroom, right? So then when we're building programs and we have no shade to the academic camps or all of that, and we have our enrichment boot camps and all that credit recovery, what are we doing for the students, for the mental health and the wellness and the behaviors? Where's that?
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, I want to
talk about that 2 weeks ago with Monique.
You did? Yes, I was on that one. Yep.
When we think of the tiered system, and I think it's just tough because it is a state and almost a national SEL and behavior isn't a priority within the curriculum. It's almost like a sidebar, a side note. You see that now too with the first people that get cut, counselors, behavior support, exactly. The people that you need to help build the community and help reset the community. But that's because, how do we, which is, I think the $1 million question that it's hard for one person to do, but how do we make SEL as part of the curriculum? Because so much emphasis is on math, is on ELA, which is great, but then we get kiddos that get to 8th grade and they can't read and they can't regulate. So now we go to high school and we don't have either skill. Like we don't have anything, right?
And we think because when they get to high school that we don't have to worry about that. That's the thing. When they get to they're adults, they're gonna figure it out on their own.
No, because then we get adults, we get parents that we see that can't regulate themselves, right? Like, and already as the parent and like as a behavior specialist, and as counselors, I know Sherann and I have this conversation all the time. We know the tools, we know the skills, and we still lose our shit sometimes. Right? Because we human. So it's just like I am gonna have a hard time regulating. Now I'm able to get myself back into it because of the tools that I have. But if I'm an adult and I've never learned how to, like you said, appropriately reset, or I saw someone say in the chat that they reset their home every Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
How to do that, or I have those skills to be able to build those skills for myself and my family and my kids. Like, or teachers don't have it. I honestly think teachers need counselors, and not again in like, something's wrong with me, but what do I have to help regulate me throughout the school day so I can show up for my best self for my kids throughout the day when I'm struggling. So,
and I want to share, I want to share a personal, transparent conversation, right? I have a son who's in high school, and somebody said about parents. And one of the things is I had to provide a space where we chose, I had him collaborate, partner with me to say, I want to check on you after a full week where it's busy. So we set up time where, and you don't have to be a counselor to do this, but just having that time with your child where parents, I love us, we got to sit, be quiet and listen. And just let them talk. And even if it's 10 minutes, they don't say nothing, just whatever's on your mind. So I've done a couple of things. Like I want to do a brain dump with you, or just like get it out. I'm gonna set the time and we make it a game. 2 minutes, tell me everything that's going on. I'm not gonna say nothing. But if you're looking for ways just to be able to do a touch point with your child, please try. One of the things is I noticed my son was going through some changes. His attitude, the way he was like responding was a little short, curt. He kept saying he was good, and I knew he wasn't good. Nothing's wrong. Why you keep asking that? One time he even said, he was like, you want me to be like rainbows and flowers all the time? I was like, no, but I know something's wrong, right? He kept telling me there was nothing wrong, right? So then this was last August. So then we got to October and we was talking, and I was like, you know what? I wanted to give him resources. I said, there's a school base in your school. There's this things. If you want this mentor, when I tell you all, he finally came out and was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just feel like heavy. I don't know what it is. And I was like, how long you been feeling like this? And he was like, since August. And I said, and I didn't say it to him at first. I was like, see, I knew something. When something's wrong. But what it was just the pressure. He couldn't identify it. Couldn't even use the words to identify it. But I think with every Saturday, y'all, even if he said nothing, I never let up. I still had that 5 o'clock in the Google Calendar on his, like, come, let's talk, take a walk, go outside, do a pic. Even if he kept saying no. And then finally he was able to open up because I wouldn't let up. So those are the things too, just having those touch points. I call them temperature checks, having some type of conversation. Go ahead, Sherann. I know you wanted to say something.
Oh no, listen, I was just going to say, I wanted to say the really hard thing. And I know folks get upset, but when we talked about finding space to reset. Why can't we actually create these spaces in our homes sometimes, in our learning communities, whatever they may look like? It's because we're allowing the system to tell us what to do instead of focusing on the people we're supposed to be serving. Right. That was my hardest realization when I became a school leader. I was like, and it's not that I didn't care about the rules, but we're going to do restorative circles. It's not that I didn't care that the kids didn't like the restorative circles, but you're going to sit in this space and we're going to set this culture.
Right.
Yeah. We set the norms. You can pass, you can say nothing, but everybody in this building needs to be in this room together.
Yes.
So we can have these moments, and we did that every quarter. Just as like in general, this is what's going on. And then we learn these restorative practice rules, like the rituals around circles and things like that.
Yes.
A norm. This is what happens in these spaces. You're not cutting anybody out. We have to follow these expectations so everybody can feel safe and heard. And then I remember reading years ago, I don't know what school community it was. I know they got a lot of press, but they did every Monday, like you said, they did a Monday meeting. the whole
Yep,
school.
we did. We did.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We
And
did.
part of the culture. So it wasn't them saying, "Oh, the system needs us in the classrooms because we got to prep for these tests with these kids." It's
Yeah.
no, we need these kids to feel loved, safe, and belonging. Right, restorative.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
They can be here and ready to do these things, and then we're welcoming into the academic space, and then they're ready. You find
Yes.
Yeah.
people ready and open to learn, right, and to grow
Yes.
as scholars.
Right. And
And
can
this,
I say
Yeah.
this? I love us. I do. But we can't go on a virtual platform only to learn about how to work with our babies and our students.
come
We
on.
cannot just bring one person in to check off the compliance
Clock it.
for making sure. I said this on my post. It's more than a bulletin. It's more than a
Yeah.
one-day workshop. It's more than go online, do those modules, and get a certificate and put it in your professional learning. Like, stop it. We have to stop. You don't see what's going on. How much
Yeah.
more do you need to? We're done with that.
That's it.
Meetings, conversations. Get creative.
Yeah.
Get creative. Look at your plans. Look at your homes. Create an environment that everybody feels seen, safe, heard.
Yeah.
Create an environment that we're doing temperature checks. Create an environment where we're doing weekly resets. If y'all take anything else from this conversation today, think about how you're going to reset your community, your home, your
Yeah.
life, your kids, your job every week. Take that. What does
Yeah.
that look like for you?
For you. Yeah. So 2 things I had put in the chat. It's something even as simple with my 5-year-old son now. We started what was the most exciting thing you did today? So fun. And then what are you most
Yes.
proud of today? So we
Yes.
both share that. And that's turned
Yes.
into, and that on him, he turned that into, okay, I'm going to share what the most fun is today, what the most proud is
Yes.
I am of me. Then he says, I'm most proud of mommy with this moment and most proud of daddy. And that I was like, oh my God. And he like did that all on his own. And then
Mhm.
recently I added, what is a problem that you solved today or still need
Yes.
help with? So
Yes.
showing him, and then I will say that too. It could be as simple as I messed up my back last week and I was like, I need to ask daddy for help to bring a laundry basket down, or I had a problem
Aw.
here and this is how I
Mhm.
solved it. But just simple things like that. And
Yes.
then I wanted kind of a twofold question with
Okay.
girls in particular, because I know we're talking about just
Mhm.
some of that stress and anxiety. How
Mhm.
does stress, anxiety, and trauma show up differently in girls, or how can it show up differently in girls? And then
That's
a
good.
second part of that, because you were talking about some things we could do. How can you help girls develop healthy emotional regulation skills instead of, I know sometimes a lot of things that we hear is like, you just need to calm down. And I'm like,
That's the word. Like,
yeah,
no,
baby,
no.
now like now I'm activated. Okay.
Yes,
You just
yes.
activated me right here.
We
Like,
name that as women, as Black women. What are some of the things,
Yes.
before you answer the question,
Okay.
what are some of the things that we heard
I was about to say that. That's where I was
that we're
going.
still perpetuating to our young girls today? So I
Yeah.
heard you're too
great.
loud.
Yep.
You
You're
talk
too
too
loud.
much.
You're too confident.
Yep.
You're
Or,
too
also
Too
like with
aggressive,
hair,
sensitive.
because your hair is always different. You always got this hairstyle and this hairstyle, and then it's here and then it's there. Like, why are you checking for me?
Right.
Like, let me be. Okay. You're too colorful. Why you
Yes.
always
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
the one
That
that
one.
took me aback and probably set me back. I as a grown woman, I can say this now. I
Yep.
heard it in 8th grade. You're too smart for your own good.
Yep.
Yeah. Or
Isn't
you
it?
talk you talk too
Too
proper.
emotional.
I think
Yep.
I
Yep.
had a
Proper.
twofold
Yes.
on it too, because I'm mixed. I
Yes.
have a white
Yes.
dad and a Black mom. So I think I
Mm.
struggled a lot with that identity of just like, okay, I'm not Black enough. How do I become more Black to get accepted? But I'm not really accepted because I'm too proper. And
Yep.
then I was international too. So like I'm weird. So it was a whole everything, but that's it, right? Like, wow,
Right.
you're really like, you talk really well. And I'm
Yep.
like, what
That
am
that
I
part. Like,
supposed to sound like? Someone
I would
tell me,
say
please.
all of that. And think about getting all of that starting in elementary school and then hearing that all the way up until you're an adult, right? What that would do on your psyche, your confidence, your mental health, your self-esteem, your self-worth. how it's showing up is in many ways. I think you have those that are parentified. So they're this resilience superhero where they just are taking it, and then they finally break because they cannot take it anymore, because it's just like they're trying to just take it and keep being strong. And what I mean by that is, I was raised by my grandmother, my great grandmother, right? And I saw what they endured. So it was one of those things, you keep going, you don't give up. There was no space that I saw for them, unless, like, other than prayer, right? That you were able to take care of your wellness through a professional, or be able to take time. It was like I couldn't stop. I had to keep going. I got my grandbabies, I got my kids. So I always thought about that survival mentality that I took over, of constantly just doing all these things and not taking a break. And then I had to sit myself down, where I had, mental health break, and then I needed to support, and I needed to get the resources and all of those. You see it in cutting behaviors, you see it in eating disorders, you see it in lashing out, you see it in depression, you see it in aggressiveness and fighting, you see it in just disconnecting. When you see a young girl who is just disconnected, you see it in their eyes. When you see it, you just know it's very hard to kind of describe, but it's kind of like dissociating, disconnected, because certain things, I got to be honest with you, the higher level stress, and not to compare, but even the most functioning, stressed, depressed young girls, it's hard to catch them if you're not with them repeatedly. So if you see them, it's really hard. But if you're working with them, which I get to do over several weeks, the facade, the perfectionism piece of it will crack. So they try to cope with other things, with perfectionism, because you know what, or that social media, because that's a space where you can't break me, and I want to be in control of it, but it really breaks. So I think I see it. Yep. And when you
ownership, that sense of ownership of something, this is the one thing I can control
that way. Right. And then the second piece you said, what was the second piece? Ways or something.
The way
it was two questions.
Just like, how do we develop those emotional regulation skills, and then over time, so it's not just a one and done, because I feel like, kind of like you said, it's like yep, we did this, we talked about it, here's your chart, or here's your support system, this is how you use it, and then you never talk about it again. And it's like,
so just like,
that's not how you build a habit.
Right. And we were just talking about this, right? Say you had a migraine, and it's been going on for 2 days, and you decide to take one aspirin at the lowest level, and you expect it to go away and to be relieved from, whatever that's going on. But you are trying to put a Band-Aid on a staph infection, right? Something that's been going on. That's how I look at it when leaders, organizations say, we have this problem. We need support with our girls, and we need you to come in and do an assembly. We need you to come in and do a workshop. And I say, okay, what is your goal after this? Well, they have to stop. They have to stop social. They have to stop. And you want to do this in a one setting with, let's say it's 200 or 75 or 50, whatever the number is. But you also are saying that this problem, right, or this issue is a big deal. We first have to say that this is a journey that is on a continuum. That's the first thing, is the strategy, that there is no expiration date for this. Get that in that setting before you start trying to solve and provide interventions and solutions. I am receiving that. I am committed to making sure we show up for our girls and our students, and that is there no expiration date with them. And however long this is going to take, we support them. We're going to
as adults. Our mindset shift.
We're going to embed, implement, and we're going to create now a system and a community that supports this journey for every student, that's inclusive, that's all year round. That's where we need to start. Then I would say the professional learning and the development. Then you partner with organizations and schools, with us, like School Counselors on Wheels, to be able to come, and you have a community partnership that comes in, that provides. You strategically plan and see what that looks like to continue to be partners to do that. Then we get our families in. It's education, it's awareness, it's building skills. Those key things, those are buzzwords and jargon that we use, but we don't actually practice what we preach when it comes to that part.
Yeah.
You answered two of my questions, so thank you so much for that. So when we think about, one of my questions was about the protective factors, and it's so I heard you say that, like, we keep going, it doesn't ever end, right? So that we have to make sure that we're continuing the cycle when they've evolved or grown. And we think about it from a human development standpoint.
There
right?
You go.
What, have you ever been in a mental health class? You learned about Piaget and Freud.
Yes.
You develop. Right. And I think that gets in the conversation in education spaces. I used to say this all the time. If a kid gets an F in a math class, you teach them the skill. So if they get an F in behavior, you teach them the skill.
Yes.
It's no different. And I know Scho will go in on that. She was like, but put it in the comments. Scho says this every week.
Every session.
Behavior is just, it's telling us something. Are you paying attention?
Somebody just said that too. It's communication. It is telling. It's data. I say it's data.
We synced in here because that was going to be one of my last questions: is how do you help families understand that behavior a lot of times reflects a need? Is something that I need and I need help with, rather than just defiance. Like, well, they're doing this just to be defiant, but like you said, it's a need. And sometimes it's like that sense of control. This is the one thing I can control in my life or in my environment, or whatever else the need may be.
And I think I was gonna say most of the, so initially sometimes the conversations, and as I'm a single parent mom, right? A single mother, right? The conversations usually start with what the role is of providing that maybe cause a absence or a large gap of time away from the home that we are not able to. But I always said, you make time. So when we, like for us, right, we strategically plan, right? We have our strategic plan, right? We plan like where's the plan for when you go and touch down and do a touch point, but every day to see what that looks like. We have to make the time to do. And I love that you said, like, what are you proud of today? Because I use that too. What are you proud of today? How was today? Just asking. And even saying, if you want to talk about, I'm here later, but I never stop. You know what I mean? Never stop. And I think that's the thing. Everybody, and not just work, even in our household, we working in silos. We starting to eat in the bedroom. We don't eat together anymore. We don't cook together anymore. We're up. We go to bed. Everything is, we reserve back to not the common space. Remember, there was common space time, and that time everybody reserves back to their room just for this sense. And I get it, protecting their peace and stuff. But with our young people, I'm sorry, they don't need all that time by themselves.
I mean, that's why I keep telling my husband.
I'm just going to say,
Christopher, when he grow up, he don't need a TV in his room. I have a TV in his room. We got enough TVs and common spaces that people can watch, and you can watch a video. You do not need that all up in your room. Like, there's enough space for you to put a computer in a common area. Like, it's kind of like you said, and I'm kind of big too on, sometimes dinner might be in the living room, but it's just like, are we breaking bread together instead of like, here's the meal and everyone just go do your own thing. Like, I will sit at the table with you, no phones, like, let's sit and chat.
Right. One of the things that I do, we just started, I want to say after the whole, I noticed something that was different, is every night before my son goes to bed, and he's about to be 18, right? We come down and he leads us off with prayer, and in the morning I lead us off with prayer. Right. And one of the things is, I think we have this concept, and it doesn't, those of you that may do something differently, right? You could just talk about, what do we want to manifest the next day? Or what do we want to put in the universe? Whatever it looks like. But what we do is I just tell them to have a conversation. That's how I call it, conversation. I tell God, like, I know, God, I'm messing up. Come get your girl. Right. So I just tell him, have that conversation. And he just his prayers currently just talks about the day and what he learned in those things. But it not only does it's doing two things. It's having us have time, but it's also giving him another opportunity that he doesn't feel like he's directly telling me something, and more comes out sometimes in that type of space, like storytelling. Like, so you're able to give them another opportunity to use their voice. And I think that's the thing. Growing up, you don't talk when an adults. I'm a product of that. You don't talk when adults talking. That's disrespectful. And I started doing that with my son, and I was minimizing and diminishing his voice. They need to talk. They need to tell us what's going on. And we may not like how it's coming off, but that's where we come in and be able to kind of like regulate or kind of shift what it looks like. But don't diminish or, hide or cut them off. They need a space. Yeah. Yes, we cannot heal in silos. We can't. We cannot.
I love that. If we could, and I think about that all the time, just generationally speaking, even when I, as an adult would walk into my grandparents' house, and my big personality would just whoop, because I was walking into, you refer to this young person. I'm like, I'm a grown woman leaving the school. What am I doing? And just, I wonder, and they weren't doing anything wrong, right? Like, just because it wasn't a right or wrong thing, it's how they survived. Right.
I was gonna say we go, well, girl, we might have to bring you on for a whole nother, because that's a whole nother, right, of like survival tactics. Like sometimes we were told to diminish, or still now, like even now, it's a safety net, or it's a defense mechanism to make sure that so we've been taught that you can't be too smart, you can't be too loud, you can't shine too much, because once you do, it puts a target on your back.
Right. There's life and death consequences for our Black and brown kids.
Right.
Which is scary to think about.
It is scary. Yeah. It is.
Yeah. I love this. So we started a new section for those of y'all that were here last time, called our rapid fire section. So I know today our topic was the narrative on girls in the educational setting and communities. So I'm going to start a sentence, and you're going to complete it with a word or a phrase that first comes to mind.
And okay, this is so good. I'm ready. Okay.
All right, you ready? So the first one is, girls need more
love.
Yes.
Every educator should stop
talking.
Behavior, I mean, listen, coming with the straight facts. Behavior is most often mistaken for
the first word was misunderstanding, but that's just the first word. I want to play the game, but just misunderstanding.
Yeah. I mean, every girl deserves
a hug.
Before labeling a student, ask.
Ooh. The first word is what? But the sentence is like, what's wrong? But what?
The biggest myth about girls is
they too sensitive. Stop saying that.
Yeah, I agree. And on the other end, I know somebody mentioned like about boys, then it goes the opposite with boys too. Like if there are, because my 5-year-old he's a sensitive baby. He wears his emotions on his sleeves.
Yeah, my son.
And I've even caught myself at the beginning being like,
I was like that.
Too emotional, you know.
Yep.
But it's like, no, you're showing your feelings, and there's too many boys out there who are afraid to let their feelings out because of that narrative. So,
and let me tell you with that too, and we got to be careful with that, people, because when we do that, then we expect them to be a certain way with women, but we tell them not to be. You get what I'm saying? So we got to be careful saying those things. We got to be careful saying what we say to both girls and boys. Go ahead.
I want to say one thing, and one of the stories that I cherished with one of my students many years ago was finals time. Their household, it is what it is. Coming in trying to manage all of it. They were one of the oldest siblings in the household. It's like, I'm just not going to graduate. Just forget it. I can't do this, whatever. And he's like screaming and fighting and like yelling at the teacher. The teacher's like, where is this coming from? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the end result was he just needed to let it out.
Yes.
Crying to hug. I was like, I just need you to come with me for 1 second. But he was pushing the furniture. I mean, he had just had it. You know what I mean? And the teacher was just like, I need you to revise this essay. Like, you're missing the key point. were competency based. And in order to rate you saying, yes, you're proficient, it wasn't an A or a B, and we didn't give D's. You had to like pass the course.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do anything else. And I'm like, and the teacher's like, right? The eyes wide, and everything trying to like, just, no, all I need you to do is just revive. But it wasn't all he needed to do. It was something he needed to do. And we needed to see that moment. And the kid just needed a release. And I was like, I just need you to walk out of the room with me.
Yes.
Nothing else. Just come with me.
Have that space.
Just walk upstairs with me. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, just need some time.
He needed to cry.
Right.
And he couldn't do that in front of the teacher. He couldn't do that in front of his peers, but he was overwhelmed and frustrated. And we tell our boys they can't show that so often.
Right.
Like, willing to risk getting suspended and not graduate because he would knock a desk over and start coloring and screaming. And then we have a code of conduct we got to adhere to when the kid just needed a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's one of the larger differences with our boys that I noticed is that they have nowhere to release.
They don't.
Or they don't know how.
That too.
Because no one's ever taught them to.
Right.
I hated that for him. And I was like, baby, the code of conduct will be invoked here. And it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Right.
He just needed a minute. So anyway, thank you I said to say thank you for bringing that up.
No, thank you for saying that, because even one of the things that makes me think about when I was in a school counselor, anytime, even if it was a good things, I would give them a minute before they start talking. So they'd be like, you ready? I'm like, just have a minute. I want you to brain dump real quick. And I have on the bookshelf, I always ordered multiple notebooks. So somebody that came in, that was their notebook, put their name on it, whatever, and gave it to them at the end of the year. And to get new ones. But every time they came in, even if it was, I wanted to talk to you, okay, let's just wait. I gave them 2 minutes before you start talking, just to get settled and to get settled in a new space. Because I don't even know what's walking in.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So the last question to end you off before we do with closing.
Yeah.
What's one strategy, if you were to walk in any school, what's one strategy every educator or maybe parent can use tomorrow to better support the girls in
I love that.
our environment?
I love that. I would say hands down is the wins. It's the wins. It's a strength-based approach. I go in every session, no matter what day it is. What are you celebrating in this moment? What can we celebrate for you so that we celebrate each other? Not only is it having them identify something about themselves, but also modeling what that looks like in a group setting and with other peers, and also learning about one another and being able to learn how to celebrate one another. And I think instead of asking what's wrong, what are we celebrating first? Sometimes that's the kind finally going, what's wrong? What's happened? Why are you in this? What about if we changed that when they came in? It was like, what are you celebrating this week? What are you proud of? Whatever you want to do. And I think the strategy, how we do is we make it a community space. So you implement it in your space, in your classroom. Our teacher from a district here in Asbury Park, she sent me, I was doing professional development for 3 years in a row, and I introduced the win jar. So I do this. I put all my wins every week. And then on December 31st, at the end of the year, I go from January to December and I pour out all the wins from the jar and I read them of what I accomplished the entire year, even though I'm doing it weekly. So she needed to do that for herself, but she started incorporating with her students, and she does a win wall. And then she shows me the wall every school year. At the end, she shows me a picture. I'm going to post it in the stories, and I'll post it on social media today again about what that looked like. And it's about celebrating your students. So I would say how are you going to show up and celebrate your students and yourself, and celebrate yourself with your students every day, every week? Yeah. And what does that look like if you did that throughout the year, and a strategy? And families and parents, what would that look like when they come home and you talk to them every day? What are you proud of today? What went well for you today? What works? And then ask them why. Don't just ask them what it was. Oh, okay. Ask them why.
So they connect that.
Yes. Yep. And let them know it's okay for them to ask them, to say that and ask themselves that. And also, how are they going to celebrate, and making sure it's okay to celebrate. It's not being cocky. It's not being too much. That's another way when we stop doing that, we're having ourselves shrink. Yep. And one of my coaches, she's super dope. Her name was Dr. Kristen Guillory. She always said, baby, if I'm too bright for you, put your shades on, because I ain't going nowhere. So continue. Right. Continue to model that and say it's okay it's more than okay. It's excellent to celebrate yourself, but we got to go back to that. So that's a strategy I've been doing. They love it. I do it virtually, I do it in person, but creating a win celebration for your students. In May, we went to a district, Lacey Township in New Jersey. Shout out to that district. We went in, we saw about 12 to 13 kindergarten classrooms, and we did trophies for them. So they had trophies, they colored them before we came in or when we got in there, and we showed them what it is about celebrating and moving up to the next grade and what does that look like. But celebrating being a good friend, celebrating making good choices, just what being proud. So I would say try to find ways to celebrate our youth and our students every chance you get, every space you go into. Please, please, please. Yes. I like to thank myself today because I'm here today. That's what they said. Miss Porte'e, I'm here today. Miss Shatira, I came today. Thank you. We celebrated that.
Exactly. Yeah, you could have showed. You could have skipped me. So
right.
So as we wrap up, tell us about something you got coming up today, or something you want the people to know. Do you have a conference or a workshop or something you have coming up today? We would love to hear about it.
Sure.
Or not today.
Thank you. Yes. So later this month, if you you don't have to be from New Jersey, but you can fly in. We are going to be at the Lead Summit Conference. I have a session there in Atlantic City at the Lead Summit Conference. You can find all of these on my social medias. I'm also in State of Black Learning in Pittsburgh in August 5th. The Lead Summit is July 27th to 28th. State of Black Learning, I was actually their 2023 New Educator of the Year honoree, but I'm going back to present in August. So I'm excited to be able to be there. If there's some, especially with the girls, or if you're looking to do some prompts, some worksheets, I do a lot of journal and expressive writing, please tap into Amazon, Barnes & Noble Books A Million. My book, I Forgive Myself for Forgetting Myself. It's a self-reflection journey, but it also has journal. It also has affirmation. So once you pour out, you fill you back up. That's a resource that even my own school district, Red Bank Regional, shout out to them, their school praise program, The Source. Every quarter or semester, they buy the book so that when the therapists or the counselors meet with certain students, they give the book and do their sessions with it. So that's something. And then we also, we're back to school. We have our reset days where we go back into the schools and we help school districts, leaders, counselors reset the mindset, the social emotional learning, and just helping students reset, going back to school after the summer slide, but also have them create their own goals for the school year. So if that's something that you would like for us to come and support you with, please reach out by emailing me, schoolcounselorsonwheels@gmail.com. I know we'll put all the information, or you can follow me on and reach out, send me a message on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. And we have a calendar if you want to schedule a call.
Perfect. And for those of you who missed it, we put all of those links in the chat, in both chats. So you should have those all. But if you did miss them, follow her on LinkedIn. And yes, she stay booked and busy.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Sherann, you got anything coming up you want to tell the people about?
Yes.
Thank you for asking. This month, I'll be doing my Hidden Leadership Workshop. We're doing virtual, which is great. Anyone can pop in from anywhere and join us. But we have our next session on July 23rd. So come and up.
Next week.
Go ahead and grab yourself a seat. If you hit me up, there's a discount code. I love a good summer sale code. To make sure that it's affordable for all of our leadership and school counselors who want to be in the room. So you join us for our Hidden Leadership Workshop, and then we'll be launching our Data to Decisions email course.
Nice.
Talking about leadership perspective, and we're making sure that we're effectively incorporating student support data, because they usually live in two spaces. They don't actually come together in the way that we're supporting our students. So talking about Data to Decisions, and we're launching that course in 2 weeks. So we're so excited.
Love it.
Yay. And then for the rest of this week, y'all, I'm on vacation.
Okay. Me too, girl. Yes. Go July. I'm off.
Listen,
July, okay.
We're learning as entrepreneurs.
Yes, we are.
To figure out how our business can take care of itself.
Yes.
Some time for ourselves. So
that part.
Our family just got back from the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
And literally, and I'm so excited to be in Atlanta. We're not even home yet. We're doing a double stop. We're in Atlanta to spend
You
time
are?
with friends. Yes. And then we'll head home next week and I'll be back on the grind. So I'm so excited to be here with y'all live from Atlanta today. But yeah, July is some rest and restoration.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, I love that too. Right.
So Scho what you got.
Yes.
Well, same thing. I'll be on vacation the next 2 weeks. So July, I'm gonna bring my computer and do some stuff, but I have kind of been on vacation mode. It's nice. I've been at the pool with my kid. Like,
come on, we can see it.
Yeah, I've been. I'm loving it. But I am a presenter at the Ohio Council of Community Schools, the OCCS conference in Columbus, Ohio on August 6th. So if you are in Ohio or you're going to that conference, please hit me up and say hello. We are also, me and some gladiators, me and Agnes and Dr. Tamika and Candy and my girl Sheena. We got some in the works for y'all. So we gonna start dropping some stuff this week, but we got something in the works for y'all come August. So our next podcast we'll drop that a little bit. But we got something coming for y'all. So check my LinkedIn to get some information about that. And then since we are off in July, just remember our next podcast is until Thursday, August 13th. Because we are taking some time.
But I get it. You need the time.
Exactly. It'll be Sherann's and I 10th episode, which is crazy to already say we've been there. So we're excited about that. And then we're going to keep going with guests. We essentially have guests lined up for the rest of the year.
We're killing it.
We're super excited to have more people on and to have more great conversations with you all as well.
Yes. This was a pleasure. I just want to say you ladies are killing it. It's just amazing. So exactly what we talked about. I just speak abundance over your following, your 10th episodes and continue, because as you continue to do this work and bring and invite amazing people like myself to this table, you are also impacting. You are impacting, you are educating, you are serving, and you are doing your call an assignment to make sure that this information is getting out. And we just want to celebrate and honor you today. Thank you for coming together to be able to have a table, to be able to amplify the voices of the importance of what we need to be doing in this work. And without you having this platform, we wouldn't be able to do that. So just thank you.
Thank you, girl.
You're welcome, boo.
Yeah.
We're so glad to be here with you all.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in. Those of you tuned in, thank you for watching.
Yes.
Thank you for that also.
Thank you for being in the comments.
Yes. Killing it. Those comments.
Engaging.
Yes.
Shout out. We had some great comments. Ms. Mari or Miss Marie, 1020.
Yes.
Powers in the room. You guys were great today. And I'm just for engaging with us. It makes it so much more fun to hear what you're doing. And to be able to respond in real time. We love that.
Yes.
Thank you guys for up today.
Thank y'all. Well, have a great week. Enjoy the rest of your July. I know August, a lot of people are getting back to school and back to work. So we hope everyone has a great transition back to school and whatever everyone is doing in August.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for popping in, and we will see you guys in August.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.